When Marjane was 10 years old, the veil became compulsory at school. As you can see, she wasn't thrilled about it. That was in 1980, a year after the Islamic Revolution in Iran. Marjane's friends weren't keen on the veil either. They didn't understand why they had to wear it. They also had to stop speaking French in school because of something called a cultural revolution. This also meant they had to be separated from the boys. It was all so weird. What was even more confusing was that some ladies loved the veil, while others despised it. Marjane's mum was against it, and there was photo evidence to prove it. Marjane always considered herself deeply religious, but modern at the same time. As a younger child, Marjane felt she was perfect prophet material and would regularly discuss her plans with God. There were a lot of injustices in the world that she wanted to fix, and a few traditions she wanted to bring back. But when she revealed her prophetic tendencies at school, it rubbed people the wrong way. When word spread about a revolution against the Shah, or king, Marjane decided to put her prophetic destiny aside for a little while. Her garden demonstrations against Iran's monarchy were quite passionate. Che Guevara would have been so proud. The Islamic Revolution was the latest in a string of revolutions over the millennia. Iran had dealt with tyrannical emperors, Arab invaders, Mongolian warlords, and modern imperialism led by the US and Britain. Marjane's parents gave her books to help her get a broad view of history. She learned about Palestine, Cuba, Vietnam, and Iran's own revolutionary heroes. She even looked into the philosophies that sparked revolutions, including Marxism. One of her favourite aspects of Marx was that he looked like God, only with curlier hair. When she overheard her parents talking about the terrible Rex cinema fire, Marjane felt ready to join them in a public protest, her first real demonstration. Around 400 people died in that fire, which was deliberately lit, and public opinion held the Shah responsible. This was Marjane's chance to participate. But her parents just put her to bed. And God didn't want to talk about it either. What a bunch of party poopers. Meanwhile, Marjane's parents demonstrated every day. But all the marching, yelling and being shot at tired them out, so there was no time for games with Marjane. Rude. Marjane declared that she actually loved the Shah. The textbook at school said he was chosen by God. God may have also mentioned it to her. At this point, Marjane's father set the record straight. The Shah was not chosen by God. He was the son of a soldier named Reza. Reza overthrew the previous emperor in 1925 to set up a democratic republic in Iran. But Reza wasn't the most confident head of state, and Western governments took advantage of this. The British sidled up to Reza and offered him great status in exchange for control over Iran's oil. So, instead of setting up a republic, Reza was established as the new king or Shah of Iran. Reza's son naturally became the next Shah, whom they were now protesting against. And that's not all. The emperor that Reza originally toppled was Marjane's great-grandfather. Wait, what? Grandpa was a prince? Yes, and Reza confiscated everything he owned. Then, realising he was an educated man, Reza appointed him Prime Minister. But Marjane's grandpa had ideas that conflicted with the Shah's rule. He was a communist and often imprisoned, sometimes in a cell filled with water. Brrr! Marjane's mother and grandmother would visit him in prison, but this was very painful for Marjane's mother to remember. After learning all this, Marjane asked for a lengthy bath. She was in there for so long that God asked her what on earth she was doing. She said she wanted to know what it was like to sit in a water cell. One day after school, Marjane's grandma came to visit. Marjane jumped at the opportunity to quiz her about Grandpa's ordeal. Grandma said it was all true. The Shah's father, Reza, made their life very difficult. But his son was 10 times worse. Grandma was glad he was going to be overthrown. When Marjane's father arrived home, he told them about some of the weird things he'd seen that day. Protesters who'd been killed by the Shah's army were being hailed as martyrs and heroes. But outside the hospital, the crowds had gotten confused over who was a hero and who had died for other reasons, like cancer. So they cheered for all the dead people, regardless. Marjane was confused why her father, mother and grandma found this so hilarious. Death is meant to be sad, isn't it? Marjane decided to read more to help her overcome her confusion. She eventually figured out why things seemed unfair. Different social classes. Marjane felt ashamed about her father's Cadillac and the fact that they had a maid at home. Mary was her name. Marjane's parents had taken Mary in when she was 8 years old. She came from a very poor family who couldn't look after all their children. Mary was 10 when Marjane was born, and the two grew up like sisters. When Mary fell in love with their neighbour's son, Marjane helped her respond to his love letters. Mary was illiterate. This went on for 6 months before Marjane's father found out. He told the neighbour's son that Mary was his maid, not his daughter. Not only did the neighbour's son lose interest in Mary, but he also returned all the letters. When Marjane's father saw that they were written in Marjane's handwriting, a difficult conversation ensued. He explained to Marjane why Mary and the neighbour's son were an impossible match. This was because Mary was from the peasant class and, in Iran, one had to stay within their social class. This meant that Mary was heartbroken for reasons beyond her control. Marjane found this shockingly unfair, but it also made the cause of the revolution crystal clear for her. Soon after this, Marjane and Mary snuck out to join the demonstrations against the Shah. They had a great time, but they didn't realise that they were protesting on Black Friday, a day where the death toll was so high people thought Israel had attacked Iran. When they got home, Marjane's parents were furious. They may have escaped injury and death at the hands of soldiers, but they were no match for Marjane's mother's stinging backhanders. Would this be enough to cure Marjane of her fiery passion for justice? Or is she only just getting started? Look out, world! Here she comes! We hope you enjoyed this Schooling Online production. For more easy lessons, check out our other videos.